The moment I sat on the genuine leather boss chair and overlooked the complete river view, I knew that my long-cherished wish had finally come true. I, an ordinary beta, have successfully become the CEO of a listed company, stepping on thousands of excellent alphas and attracting people's attention. At that moment, I felt a thrill from the tips of my toes to the top of my head. Knock, knock. A clear knock on the door came from the entrance. 2 seconds later, a tall alpha walked in. He was wearing a well-tailored suit. His hair was neatly combed, and there was little expression on his face. Every word and deed of his was like a precise instrument. Noah is that kind of super, typical elite male alpha, the type I like to bully the most. My gaze started from his full forehead, slid across his beautiful and slender almond-shaped eyes, and finally stopped on the fair neck exposed at the collar of his black shirt. Tut! How can an alpha be fairer than those omegas? Mr. Liam, I'm here to report the key work of this week to you. His eyes drooped slightly, and his slightly magnetic low voice rang in my ear. I shifted my gaze from his Adam's apple and squeezed out a syllable from my nose, indicating that he could start. Since the company considers that you've just been promoted, the first week is mainly for you to get familiar with the work position. There's only an executive meeting this Wednesday. Watching Noah's thin lips part and close, the faint flush on them made his face look even fairer and more charming. It was crazily attacking my weak rationality. I really want to bully him. I hooked the corner of my lips and interrupted him aloud. I'm almost falling asleep listening to you like this. Assistant Mr. Noah. Noah closed the folder, and his honey-colored eyes finally looked at me. His voice remained neither overbearing nor humble, just like his handsome and proudly raised jawline. How does Mr. Liam want me to read it? He has been like this since the first day he started working with me 3 years ago. A noble and pure white lotus that doesn't indulge in worldly affairs and refuses to go along with the world. I gently tapped the desktop with my fingers and smiled brightly at him. Otherwise, you can imitate an omega and pinch your throat a bit. Noah didn't show any of the expressions I expected on his face. Instead, he turned around and walked towards the door. I'll go and find an omega colleague for Mr. Liam. Did I let you go? I leaned back on the leather chair and stared at Noah. Noah paused for a moment, then continued walking out as if he didn't hear my words. If you walk out of this door today, you can forget about your job. Noah, whose hand was already on the doorknob, suddenly stopped. There was almost no expression on his face, except for his lower lip which he had bitten into a red mark. Hurry up, Mr. Noah. It's just a clip. Very simple. Under my teasing gaze, Noah still picked up the documents and started reading in an extremely strange tone. At this moment, my toes hidden under the desk were curled up. Is this the feeling of controlling a top-level alpha? It's so much fun. It was the Wednesday meeting. During the whole meeting, the core management team worked in tandem and directly assigned the most difficult merger and acquisition case of the company to me. This case has been handled by several teams, but there has been no result. It's a real hot potato. I went back to my office in a fit of rage and casually threw the folder in my hand on the ground. A bunch of old dogs. They're pulling me in to take the blame. Noah followed me. Just as he stepped in with one foot, he got hit in the face by the papers. After all the papers had fallen, I heard the faint sigh from his mouth. What are you sighing for? I was already annoyed. Noah's sigh was like a jab at my tense nerves. There was no answer. Are you deaf? Can't you hear me talking to you? Noah still didn't answer. He just stood at the door, staring at me silently, feeling uncomfortable under his stare. I ordered arrogantly, since Assistant Mr. Noah is deaf but still has all his limbs intact. Then pick up these papers on the ground for me. Only then did Noah look away and walked into the office, getting ready to bend down to pick up the papers. Who told you to pick them up standing? Kneel down and pick them up like a dog. I stood by the desk, looking down at him condescendingly. Noah's hand paused while picking up the papers. He looked up at me. There was no warmth in his honey-colored eyes at the moment. Instead, the office light made them look like grayish-white waves. His lips were tightly pursed, forming a pale straight line. Let me tell you, Noah, you're just my Liam's dog? Still sighing? Dissatisfied with me and want to change your master? I advise you not to even think about it in this lifetime. Noah's expression changed slightly, and he walked straight towards me. Only then did I realize that he was half a head taller than me. Suddenly he raised his hand, and I instinctively wanted to dodge. Is he finally fed up and going to beat me? How dare you hit? I defiantly threatened. My voice almost squeezed out through my teeth. However, what finally landed on my head was a gentle and affectionate hand. It rubbed against me carefully and timidly. Mr. Liam, I'll only follow you. Noah's honey-colored eyes were like two shiny plum candies at this moment, sticking closely to me. My mouth spoke faster than my brain and I blurted out, "Why are you touching me? Mr. Liam, I'm smoothing your hair. You were like an angry cat just now." After hearing that, my anger subsided from my forehead, and then a wave of ashamed heat rushed from my feet to my forehead. "I think you're crazy. Get out of here. You're the one who's like a cat. Your whole family is like a cat." I felt a bit uncomfortable after Noah left. The feeling of his touch on my head just now seemed to still linger in my hair. I shook my head to get rid of all my emotions. Work is important, and it's even more important to keep my CEO position so that I can continue to bully alphas. I'm the strongest beta in the universe. I'll definitely nail this negotiation. The date of the acquisition negotiation meeting is next Monday. I don't have much time left. Almost instantly, I entered the working state. I searched for information and made evaluations day and night, wanting to make the acquisition price infinitely close to the perfect value that both parties would be satisfied with. This is a tough battle. Even in a hard-fought battle, there must be some entertainment time for relaxation, right? So after working continuously for more than a dozen hours, I really couldn't hold it in any longer when I saw Noah sitting at his own desk next to mine, typing on the keyboard intently. "Assistant Mr. Noah, I'm tired." I dragged out the end of my voice and my eyes were full of laziness. Noah didn't even spare me a glance and mechanically replied, "Then you should take a rest, Mr. Liam." He had rolled up his shirt sleeves to the elbows and his tie was also loosened. The smooth and fair forearms were so dazzling that it hurt my eyes. "Do you like watching Omegas dance seductively?" Noah finally focused his eyes on my face, and his beautiful eyebrows furrowed slightly. "I don't have such vulgar interests." I stretched my body, reached my arms forward, and lay on the table, tilting my head to look at Noah. "I do. Dance one for me." I stared closely at Noah's face, afraid of missing any vivid expressions. "Mr. Liam, this is not the time to joke." His tone was normal and his expression was serious. TSK, this reaction isn't fun enough. When have I ever joked with you?" Noah never obeys, but I just like this kind of disobedient person. The more he resists, the more excited I get. This job is his Achilles heel, the collar I've put around his neck. I remember when he first came for an internship, he competed with another alpha for a full-time position. The two of them were in a cut-throat competition in the office. Outside the office, they engaged in pheromone battles. Noah almost exhausted his glands in order to win. Although I don't know the reason, as long as it works. If he doesn't obey, tighten the noose. "Come here now and stand in front of me." You know, Noah, I hate repeating myself the most. Sure enough, Noah stood up silently. With just a few long strides, he stood in front of me. A tingling sensation spread through my fingertips. "Assistant Mr. Noah truly lives up to being an S-class alpha. How sensible." I straightened up and leaned back on the chair. "It doesn't matter if you don't know. I'll teach you." I reached for my own collar. "Like me, unbutton one by one and sway your hips as you do it." The tips of Noah's ears quietly turned a faint red. His teeth were clenched tightly. His fingers were balled into a fist, and his whole body trembled slightly. I undid the top button of my shirt and spoke again. "See, it's very simple." The redness on the tips of Noah's ears spread, gradually coloring his whole face evenly. It seemed that he had finished his intense mental struggle. His fair and clean fingers slowly reached his already askew collar. The first rays of morning sunlight shone on Noah's face. He looked wholly yet alluring. I was stunned for a moment. Suddenly, the alarm blared. I stared blankly at the abnormal alpha pheromone concentration indicator on the wall. Noah, who was still standing just now, suddenly pounced on me. I was completely stunned. "Damn it! Are you in your susceptible period?" Panicked, I was about to run outside, but Noah seemed to have taken a super strength pill. He grabbed my waist with one hand and hugged me tightly from behind. He was as hot as someone with a severe flu. He kept rubbing his face against my neck, and his mouth was restless, caressing my nape. Instantly, I felt a tingling sensation on my scalp. "Noah, wake up. I'm not an Omega." I used all my strength to break Noah's hands that were holding my waist, but his hands were like pliers and didn't move at all. "Liam." Noah's whispers in my ear one after another were just like the intimate whispers of lovers in the heat of passion. For a moment, I was a little dazed. I didn't come to my senses until something sharp rubbed against my nape. It was Noah's teeth trying to bite through my gland. Cold sweat quickly soaked my back. My mind started to race. I knew that if I couldn't find a solution, this dog, like Alpha, would bite my neck off today. Suddenly, I remembered that there were inhibitors prepared uniformly by the company in the drawer of my desk. But using force didn't work. I couldn't break free from this guy at all. I took a deep breath, clenched my fists tightly, and made up my mind. Then let's try the gentle way. I gently wrapped my hands around Noah's hands that were holding my waist and used the most coquettish voice in my life. Okay, Noah, please let go of me first. How about we go to the chair? The person behind me was obviously stunned. Broken words squeezed out of his hoarse throat. You are willing? When I heard that, I thought there was a chance, so I quickly added fuel to the fire. Of course. You're an S-class alpha, tall and handsome. I'm more than willing. Ugh, yuck. I swear to God that what I said was a lie. It's even more fake than the old lady at the vegetable market. Noah's hands holding me loosened slightly. When I saw the right moment, I squatted down directly and slipped out of his arms. During the few seconds when I rushed to get the inhibitor, I felt that if someone timed me, I could break the sprint record. It wasn't until the needle tip pricked into Noah's arm that my soaring adrenaline finally subsided. Watching Noah finally fall asleep quietly, I comfortingly patted my heaving chest, so close, but I still managed to pull through. After working overtime for more than a dozen hours and almost risking my life to save my fragile neck from the alpha, even the strongest beta in the universe couldn't hold on. I lay down on the meeting sofa and fell into a deep sleep. When I opened my eyes again, I felt a bit heavy on my body. Somehow, there was an extra black suit on me. It emitted a faint perfume smell, a cold and woody fragrance that smelled very pleasant. I looked at my watch. Oh my God, it's already 10 o'clock. I've slept for 4 hours. I quickly bounced up from the sofa and prepared to continue working frantically on the acquisition case. But unexpectedly, I bumped into Noah's deep eyes. He stared at me as if he wanted to see through me. You're a beta? Oh no, how could I forget about this? I pretended to be calm and slowly sat back on the sofa. I crossed my arms and casually crossed my legs. What's wrong? After going crazy, you don't even call me Mr. Liam anymore. Aren't you afraid that I'll tell others that you're a beta? Noah's beautiful eyelashes cast a shadow under his eyes, and his expression was indifferent. I can't think of a reason for Assistant Mr. Noah to tell. I gently raised the corners of my mouth, smiling confidently. Reason? I have a reason to expose you every day. Liam. Noah placed his hands on both sides of the table edge, and his voice was soft. He was acting like that noble and pure white lotus again. Then Assistant Mr. Noah definitely won't. After all, the fact that an S-class alpha was bullied by a beta until his susceptible period broke out seems quite private. You can just enjoy it secretly by yourself. There's no need to let everyone know. Am I right? How Wei Zhao? I smiled slyly and emphasized the last 3 words heavily. Hey, this beta can handle you easily. It wasn't until Noah's face finally showed the look of restraint that I was extremely familiar with that I stood up from the sofa, walked to his side, and patted him on the shoulder. Okay, Assistant Mr. Noah, stop throwing a tantrum and go back to work. Actually, this time Noah's patience is quite inexplicable. Logically speaking, even the softest person should stand up for themselves at this point. Shouldn't he seize the opportunity when he has me by the throat and fight for all the benefits he can get? Thinking about it carefully, it seems strange, but now time is tight and the task is heavy. So I quickly push these thoughts out of my mind. There are only 2 days left until the acquisition negotiation. So far, I still haven't found the crucial evidence. It really gives this beta a headache. I'm so anxious that I've even developed an inflammation in my throat. Assistant Mr. Noah, send someone downstairs to buy me a hamburger. I instruct Noah without even looking up. 15 minutes later, Noah brings a bowl of porridge and places it in front of me. It's obviously just out of the pot and still steaming hot. What's this? Looking at this bowl of porridge that will drive me crazy if I drink it, I get even more furious. I asked him to order a hamburger just for convenience. I could gulp it down in 2 bites and get back to work, but this guy brings me a bowl of porridge. It'll take me half an hour to finish it. Your throat is inflamed. It's not good to eat a hamburger. Drink the porridge. Noah stands by my desk, motionless, staring at me without changing his expression. No time. Go buy me a hamburger. I'm too lazy to deal with him. I don't know what's wrong with this elite alpha male. If you think it's a waste of work time, I'll blow it cool and feed you. Noah's voice is deeper than I've ever heard before. I can even detect a hint of non-negotiability in it. I give a cold snort. I've said I have no time. Can't you understand human language? Don't bother me now. I flipped through the documents noisily, always feeling that I had overlooked something important. I searched repeatedly and became more and more impatient. Noah directly took away all the documents. Mr. Liam, have some porridge. He stubbornly and forcefully pushed the porridge in front of me again. My restlessness instantly turned into anger. I directly overturned the porridge on the table to the ground. Most of the scalding porridge splashed on the back of my hand. The burning pain gnawed at my skin. Noah almost came to grab my hand the moment the porridge was knocked over. I pushed him hard, and my voice hit his face. I'm not an omega. I'm not that delicate. Eating a hamburger won't kill me. I lost a lot of oxygen in my lungs. My chest heaved violently, and the pain in my temples throbbed. Noah was pushed back a big step by me. He still wanted to say something, and his mouth was slightly open. But I didn't give him a chance. Get out. Goo. He tried to get closer to me again and wanted to grab my hand that was already red like a pig's trotter. I told you to get out. I grabbed the pen on the table and threw it at Noah. The copper nib grazed Noah's cheek. A bright red cut appeared on his fair face. Noah frowned slightly, and his fingertips were pinched white. Okay. As soon as Noah left, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I frantically shook my scalded back of the hand, grimacing in pain. Not caring about so many things, I still had the omissions in the document on my mind. So I grabbed the materials again and continued to read. Before I even finished reading a single line, the door opened, and it was Noah again. This guy is really like a ghost that won't leave. I opened my mouth and started scolding. I've noticed that you're becoming more and more. Noah, what are you doing? Noah completely ignored what I said. With a cold face, he clamped my hands with one hand and held them above my head. With the other hand, he roughly tore off his tie and tied my hands firmly to the boss chair. Noah, let me go. Damn it. Are you crazy? With my hands being restrained and unable to exert any strength, I could only kick randomly with my feet in an attempt to break free. Don't move around, mister. Noah took a long stride and clamped my kicking legs between his own, looking down at me condescendingly. His eyes were filled with annoyance I'd never seen before. Suddenly, my stinging back of the hand felt cold as an ice pack was placed on it. I was shamefully held down on the boss chair by Noah and couldn't move. Anger and shame washed over my mind. I blushed with anger and roared, "Let me go. You're being disobedient, so I have to do this." The only sound in the huge office was my heavy breathing. It's so damn creepy. Noah still stared at my scalded hand and carefully adjusted the angle of the ice pack. His whole neck kept swaying in front of my mouth. Suddenly, I recalled the time when Noah was in his susceptible period. He hugged me from behind, with his sticky and scorching body temperature. My face flushed, and I silently cursed in my heart. Calm down. After a long time, Noah was the first to speak. Seeing that I stopped struggling, he slowly got off me. He leisurely took out a stack of materials from his desk and put them in front of me. The dense printed text was intertwined with Noah's strong and powerful handwriting, all showing his thoughts. There's something you want here. There was still no emotion on Mr. Liam's face, as if the irritation in his eyes just now was my imagination. I quickly glanced at the content of the document. This is it, the crucial winning point that I've been unable to find and have overlooked. Overjoyed, I completely forgot that I was still tied up and immediately wanted to discuss the details with Noah to finalize the plan as soon as possible. As soon as I looked up, I was startled by the redness in Noah's eyes. The fine bloodshot eyes were particularly prominent on the white eyeballs. I instinctively avoided his gaze, but Noah pinched my chin to stop my evasive gaze. Mr. Liam, do you have time to have porridge now? His voice was pronounced word by word, and the look in his eyes as he stared at me seemed as if he wanted to tear me apart and devour me. The wound on Noah's face had already coagulated into a dark red color. Due to continuous high-intensity work, short stubble had also appeared on his originally smooth chin. I was like being bewitched by something. For a moment, I stared at him blankly. This Noah was really incredibly sexy. My gaze kept moving downward, but suddenly a cool hand covered my eyes. Stop looking, Liam. Noah's voice fell beside my right ear, with a moist breath. After 2 days of wrapping up, the preparatory work for the acquisition case was basically all finished. The entire proposal materials had reached the legal department. However, the atmosphere in the office these 2 days was really strange. Noah often sat at his workstation and stared directly at me. When calling me, he no longer respectfully called me Mr. Liam. Either he directly omitted the title or called me by my full name. Due to the current strange atmosphere, I couldn't get angry either. I stood in front of the sink and patted my own face. The scene of being tied to a chair by Noah that day was multiplying in my mind like a virus. I simply couldn't erase it. It was really a nightmare. Being tied to a chair and unable to move by the most hated alpha. If word got out, what would happen to my reputation? I'll endure it. Well, if he's impolite, then so be it. Noah and I have plenty of time ahead. Why should I worry about not being able to catch him in the wrong later? I looked at my face in the mirror with satisfaction and admired it for a while. I walked away humming a tune. On the day of the acquisition negotiation meeting, I was wearing a high-end dark blue suit and leather shoes with carved patterns on them. I walked into the meeting room right at the last second before the meeting started. Well, big shots always have to put on a bit of an air. Only 3 people from the other side came and they were all sitting upright. Noah was standing on the right side of the main seat, with his head down, organizing the meeting materials. Seeing me enter the door, those 3 people quickly stood up. The young man at the front immediately opened his mouth. Mr. Liam, I've long admired you. I'm Oliver, the representative of Ching. Hearing this, I looked over. This man seemed a bit older than me, with a gentle appearance and a mature temperament. He didn't have that annoying, overpowering aura of an alpha. It seemed that he was an excellent beta. I couldn't help but think highly of him. Mr. Oliver, take a seat. Oliver was still saying some polite remarks, while my mind had already started to wander. Oh, this Mr. Oliver is really quite good. He has broad shoulders, a slender waist and long legs, and a handsome face. Everyone, please take your seats. Noah's voice suddenly came out from the speaker in the meeting room. It really gave me a fright. This annoying alpha doesn't even bother to be polite to me. How come he doesn't know the rules in front of outsiders either? I directly gave Noah a look that said, "You're done, and I'll deal with him after the meeting." The whole negotiation went very smoothly and lasted for more than half an hour. Still exceeded my plan a bit. This Oliver is no pushover. During the process, he tried his best to dilute the impact of the information I had on Ching. Although I'm on the opposite side of him, based on his performance in today's meeting, I really admire him. As a fellow beta, there's still a bit of that old-fashioned sentiment of heroes respecting heroes. So at the end of the negotiation, I offered the highest price within the perfect numerical range. After the 3 people from Ching discussed, Oliver stood up and shook hands with me. Mr. Liam is truly young and promising. A pleasant cooperation. His eyes were crescent-shaped, and his face was full of sincerity. His dry and warm fingers intertwined with mine. I was feeling as comfortable as in the gentle spring breeze. The next second, Noah's clear woody fragrance forcefully dispelled my spring breeze feeling. He forcefully inserted himself and knocked apart the hands that I and Mr. Oliver were holding. Mr. Liam, the next meeting is about to start. You have to go. Noah stood upright with a firm voice. Seeing this, Oliver remained calm and smiled as he spoke. Mr. Liam, you're busy first. We'll have a chance to get together privately later. I didn't even have time to reply before Noah dragged me out of the meeting room. I didn't even get a glimpse of his face. I was almost thrown into the office by Noah. My ancestor, what on earth are you up to now? I rubbed my arm that ached from being grabbed and shouted at him. His behavior has been getting weirder and weirder since the last time. There's an environmental protection meeting at 4 this afternoon. I don't know if it's just my imagination, but Noah's voice became even lower. He walked straight to the desk and neatly arranged the messy documents on it for me. But he didn't even give me a single look. I looked down at my diamond-studded watch. Dude, are you okay? It's an afternoon 4 o'clock meeting, and you dragged me out of the meeting room at 11 in the morning? But since I couldn't figure out what Noah was thinking, I decided to endure it for the time being. What's the core content? Bring the documents over and let me have a look. Almost the next second, Noah stuffed something into my hand. He was so fast that I didn't even see his movement clearly. I looked down at what was in my hand, a stack of white papers. Right in the middle were a few random scribbles I made with a pen when I was bored. Taking a closer look, it was a handsome face of an alpha. My heart skipped a beat, and I immediately threw the folder at that good-looking alpha's head. His face flushed and then paled. How many years have you been with me? How could you make such a stupid mistake? His mouth twitched in pain, but his voice remained calm. Sorry, Mr. Liam. I'll be more careful next time. There was no sign of admitting fault in that tone. The flippantly rising ending note was full of mockery. His eyes were full of blatant arrogance. I kicked him in the knee, making him kneel on one knee. I think you've forgotten the rules. Kneel down and reflect on your actions. Noah gently touched the ground with his left knee. His honey-colored eyes became even more piercing because of the anger in them. He almost squeezed the words out between his teeth. Who can understand your rules? That Oliver who was smiling so disgustingly just now. What does it have to do with Oliver? I gave a cold laugh. Are you also competing with him? Wake up. I lifted my leg to kick his right knee. I was burning with anger. Noah had never treated me like this before. He was not only disobedient but also sharp-tongued. So all I could think about was making him kneel on both knees. I wanted to see him submit willingly. Before the tip of my leather shoe even touched his knee, my leg was firmly grabbed. Noah forcefully pressed the button to close the blinds. I was almost lifted and pushed onto my boss's desk by him. Mr. Liam, do you like to play workplace bullying so much? His eyes were crazy, like a hunting leopard. Noah pressed my hands above my head with one hand, and the other hand slipped into my shirt like an eel. This is wrong. What are you doing? Noah, you're out of your mind. I'm your superior, I roared anxiously. There was a crazy S-class alpha pressing on me. Even if I couldn't smell the pheromones, I was still oppressed by that intimidating power and couldn't catch my breath. I know, I just like to have sex with my superior. He gave a soft snort with a flippant tone. Everywhere Noah's hands touched was burning hot. My angry roars gradually turned into suppressed groans. He pressed on me and looked at me, like a decisive and evil monarch, watching me be engulfed by the flames he had ignited, watching me throw away so-called shame and morality, just staring at me, his eyes deep and gloomy. After a flash of white light in my mind, the reason I had deliberately blurred gradually returned to my body. Noah had let go of me. He was sitting in the boss's chair carefully wiping his fingers, wiping the mottled filth clean. My self-esteem and pride were also wiped away by him. My chest tightened instantly, and it felt like there was an iron block stuck in my throat, sinking painfully. I tremblingly buttoned up my expensive suit pants with both hands. I slapped Noah across the face. Get out! My name is Liam. I'm a worker ant beta and also a typical small-town student who excels in exams. In my world, there's only the pursuit of success. No room for love. I hate those alphas who seem so superior, showing off their so-called natural superiority with that haughty look. Nor can I accept that weak omegas have to rely on others. Even less can I, like most betas, accept my own mediocrity from birth. I'm a natural rebel. Why do we have to be labeled from birth? Even before anyone has seen the real me. I've been roughly stamped as a loser. I don't want such a life. So I'm going to trample all those alphas wearing noble masks under my feet. Let them look up to me and see them willingly submit. So I studied and exercised desperately. I wished I could stretch 1 minute into 3. All for my heart that refuses to be mediocre, burning with passion. But when I was pinned down on the desk by Noah, shamefully enduring what I shouldn't have, all my efforts came to naught. It turns out that in the face of absolute dominance, I'm really like an ant, unable to shake the tree even a little. Even without pheromones, one can still become a slave to desire. The shower sprayed my body again and again, trying to wash away the evidence of my betrayal of myself. I can't forgive myself. At that moment, I became the dog that I used to condemn for rutting and mating. My fingers scratched red marks on my body one after another. Still couldn't wash away the sins of those pleasures. Even now, looking at the blue and purple marks on my body, I remembered Noah's hot breath on me at that time. My body still gradually got hot. I curled up in the bathtub and covered my face with my hands. I'm really hopeless. I didn't go to work for a whole week. I don't understand. Clearly, I'm not the one who did something wrong. Why do I hide in the dark like a mouse? Maybe it's because I'm a freak with shallow family ties and almost no friends. I have so many questions and doubts, but I don't even have a way to tell anyone. Until Noah brought the police and opened my door. He looked visibly haggard. His always decent suit was now as wrinkled as a rag. Seeing my eyes on him, he explained in a somewhat hasty manner. I've been waiting at your door for a week, planning to wait for you to come out, but you never came out. This is a Noah I've never seen before. Having lost his dignity and aloofness, he has fallen into the mortal world. I just stared at him, watching his lips part and close. After seeing off the police, Noah slid down to the floor beside my bed. He squeezed out a few words that didn't sound like his from his hoarse throat. Liam, let's have a talk. I hugged the quilt and looked at him, having no real sense of what was happening in front of me at all. I only heard a few floating words come out of his mouth. I've liked you since I first came for an internship. After saying this, his shoulders trembled slightly. Noah didn't turn his head to look at me. He just paused for a long time, as if waiting for me to say something. At this moment, my head was like being bombarded, full of question marks. Noah likes me? Seeing that I didn't reply for a long time, he sighed softly and then continued. At first, I was just curious about why you pretended to be an alpha. The more I got to know you, the more I found that although you're a beta, you always have endless energy in your body. You handle all your work efficiently and properly. When you're unhappy, you don't even blink an eye before losing your temper. Even when facing the toughest challenges, you just grit your teeth, play a little prank on your subordinates, and then everything will be okay. Your eyes are always bright with anticipation for the future, and you work hard to plan every goal you want to achieve and keep achieving them one after another. His voice became lighter, and there was even a smile on his lips. I've had a smooth life since childhood, studying and working step by step. If I hadn't met you, maybe when I reached the marriageable age, I would have found someone with a high pheromone matching concentration to marry. Until I saw you living every day to the fullest, it was like there was a little torch lit in my heart. I suddenly didn't want to live that kind of life anymore. I wanted to follow you and see how wonderful you could make life. Later, when I realized it, the initial curiosity had changed. It turned into 1,001 strands of sour affection that tightly wrapped around me. Noah's voice took on a hint of sobs again. He didn't pause for long and then continued speaking. But later I found that you're not interested in love. You just keep charging ahead on your own path without thinking about having a companion. I thought, then I'll accompany you. Even if you want to stand on top of the mountain, I'll still accompany you and be your right hand and left hand man. I can give up everything as long as I can stand side by side with you. The alpha sobbing beside the bed lowered his noble head, revealing his soft hair on the top. I don't understand. I seem to understand none of the words Noah said, but my chest is aching with fullness. I want to say something, but I can't make a sound. So I can only follow my instinct and reach out my hand to rub that soft head. Just like that day when he rubbed mine. Feeling my touch, Noah immediately turned around and looked at me. At the moment our eyes met, something burning slid down from the corner of my eye. The alpha, who was always calm and composed, was instantly flustered. Liam, why are you crying? His fingertips brushed across the corner of my eye. I grabbed his suit and cried even louder with a wail. Noah, I'm scared. Wah! The grievances of a week burst out like a flash flood. Strange desires, strange relationships. I've lost the sense of control over my own life. I cried hoarsely, intermittently telling Noah about the collapse of my beliefs and the betrayal of my years of rebelliousness. Noah listened very carefully, but the more he listened, the more his lips curled up into a smile until finally, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. So you locked yourself at home for a week? I bared myself completely in front of him like a cooked shrimp, but he laughed even louder. So I vindicatively wiped all my snot and tears on him. Only then did Noah coo softly. Liam, you're not betraying yourself. He held my hands with his, gently rubbing the back of my hands. You just fell in love with me. His voice was so soft and cautious. Because you like me, you have desires for me. Because you like me, you keep thinking about me. He reached out and pinched my nose, gently shaking it. His eyes were full of tenderness. You're usually quite smart. Why are you such a fool in this kind of thing? I didn't stop Noah's actions at all. Instead, I indulged him a bit because I was a bit greedy for the warmth of his palms. Like? What is liking? Do I like Noah? It seems that I just like to bully him. I haven't finished the second half yet. Noah interrupted my wandering thoughts, gently squeezed my hand, and continued speaking. Do you still remember the day when you forced me to do a suggestive dance? The way you looked at me was just like a little wolf cub. I knew you wouldn't realize your feelings so soon, so I kept testing you again and again, hoping you'd discover them on your own. Unfortunately, you're really a fool. I should have given you more time. But that day, your eyes were almost glued to Oliver, so I couldn't wait a single moment longer. I was still patiently listening to Mr. Noah. I didn't notice at all that his lips were already close to my ear at this moment. I couldn't wait a single moment longer. A soft and gentle kiss landed on my forehead, then moved to my eyes, and finally reached its destination. Mr. Noah gently held my face, and our lips met and parted. With a delicate silver thread, my heart was pounding like thunder, and my heart was filled with a honey-like sweetness. What is love? I don't understand. I only know that there's an alpha willing to put aside his inborn pride, notice me, and recognize me, to reach the peak with me, and I'm extremely willing.